One negative for Alpecin-Deceuninck, of course, was the relegation of their main lead-out man at this race, Mathieu van der Poel, for his argy-bargy in the run into the line. What did you make of that? Are they kind of lucky that Philipsen isn't the one penalised for that? What do you think?
Negative for who? For Alpecin?
For Alpecin-Deceuninck, you would think.
But that's the thing, it's not negative whatsoever. A lead-out man's job is to put his sprinter in position. If he gets relegated, what does it matter? It doesn't at all. So to do that, I think the UCI have tried to make a point of you can't do that, but ultimately he's not out the race. Nothing's happened to the winner, so it's kind of like, Mathieu, you do what you need to do to get your leader into position. As long as he sprints safely, it doesn't matter if you get relegated because we've still won the stage. So for Alpecin, they're like, brilliant, you got him out, yeah, you got relegated, but you won the stage, so what's the problem?
So if he does it again, he'll be gone. OK,
but this is the point then, and we'll get to what the suitable punishment might be, but what did you think of his sprint, first of all? Should he have been penalised in any way for that?
I actually liked it. I liked that he made room, and that's what sprinting is. It's shoulder to shoulder, and it was hard. It was a small bump, just enough to give Biniam Girmay the sign that I'm coming through. Girmay didn't even complain. He just sort of went slightly out, came back in. I mean, that is what the sprinting game is. And I was surprised to see him relegated to the back of the group. But the UCI, they've gotten stricter and stricter on the actions within sprints. And I think particularly after the day before, where they already looked at Philipsen's sprint, they got them under the microscope and they've been waiting for a chance to do something. They did it to Van der Poel yesterday. But as I said, if he does the same sort of thing again, I reckon he'll be out of the race. They did it to Mark Renshaw a few years ago.
But that was for head-butting, wasn't it? It was slightly different.
That was first instance. They had one strike and you're out. This is going to be... We've already disqualified you. Well, relegated you once, do it again, and I reckon they'll rub him out.
Is that ruling that if it's one strike and out, or is it not? Because that's the thing with the UCI.
I don't believe there is there?
I mean, it depends on the severity of it.
Yeah, severity.
Look at that incident. Exactly. That was Julian Dean and Mark Renshaw. I remember that one because we were in the middle of that. And, I mean... That was
triple headbutt, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's not even comparable to what...
No, it's not.
It's a totally different... I mean, that was an intentional headbutt over and over and over again. This was...
Manoeuvring.
I mean, exactly. I think the UCI, they're extremely concerned about the public perception of safety in the sport of cycling, and they're trying to make a point. The question is are they actually choosing the right battles, or are they not seeing the sport as someone inside the sprint would see the sport?
So this goes back to where we look at where they should be focusing on safety, and we've had the issue, of course, of mountain descents in particular, Jonathan. Do you think this is an early... I'm being perhaps unfair, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. Is this their way of getting an early win, if you like, saying, yep, that's it, we've checked that box on rider safety, and not looking at an area where maybe it needs it more?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's definitely a move to... change public perception. It's not necessarily a move that made the race any safer or is going to make the race any safer in the next sprint. I think it's very public-facing, very forward-facing. Yeah. I'm a little bit cynical as to, like, the real motivation.
But this could make it unsafer in a kind of way, because if they're just saying, oh, you get penalised for doing that, each lead-out man might be like, right, I've got my sprinter on my wheel. We know that I might get penalised for this, but who cares? I'm going to headbutt this guy out of the way. As long as my sprinter gets through, I'll move him. Because ultimately, if your rider gets relegated and your sprinter does well, what's the issue for the team? The goal is to win that stage with your sprinter, not for your lead-out man not to get relegated.
Yeah, but I mean, when Renshaw got relegated, kicked out of the race, that was actually
that
was a pretty big deal. But again, that was so different. I mean, that was, if you go back and look at that video, I mean, he was just smashing his head.
I laugh. It wasn't funny at the time. It was horrific. But should we have what you're alluding to here, really, Robbie, in terms of 2 strikes and you're out, a yellow card, a red card system with this, do you think?
If it was me in charge of the jury yesterday, I just would have said, that was good. That was good. Let's move on to the next day. But as Jonathan said, they're trying to do something, and they're picking their battles, the ones they can win easily. Say, OK, we'll put you to the back of the group, and it looks like we're doing something, but I don't think it was necessary anyway. I
also think the main thing is, as well, is like Mads Pedersen yesterday said in his interview, everyone's got breaks. Everyone can look after themselves a little bit. It's the rider's responsibility, but no one's going to give an inch, no one's going to give a mile. I agree with what you're saying. The public perception of the UCI doing something to try and make a statement, say we're trying to make it safer, but ultimately it's up to the riders to go to make it safe for themselves. As Mads Pedersen said, they've got breaks, they can ease off if they need to, they can move out the way. But ultimately, I don't think anything will change until, like you say, red card system, yellow card system. Because it doesn't make a difference what happened yesterday at all going forward.
Who cares? Mathieu van der Poel is relegated. What does it matter to him? What does it matter to this stage win?
You know, our first-year rider, James Shaw, who this is his first Tour de France ever, and he clearly was pretty nervous before the race. And I said, listen, James, this is just like any other race all year long, same riders. The only difference is in this one, no one uses their brakes.